What is, you guys tell me what you're looking at. Right, the DSM-5 criteria for substance use disorder. So first and foremost, what's the DSM-5? Remember the game Alphabet Soup? We didn't even play this one. DSM, that's another one, right? Anybody know? If you don't know what it stands for, if you know what the point of it is. There's a couple of you guys, Ohio University Bobcats enrolled in the social work program. You guys might have to carry the group through this one. I'm looking at you guys, my little triangle here. So it is the book where they diagnose the criteria are that we diagnose out of. Is that, you guys would agree? My student loan consumers, yeah, you guys would agree, right? Diagnostic Statistic Manual is what it sounds for. 5 means that they're on the 5th one. They're on the 5th one because they have to update it so they can sell you books. Yeah, and they're not cheap. Yeah. Now, here's what they also do too. Right now, we're actually on the 5TR, which is just an updated version of the 5 for the same reason. Because, like, well, we're not ready to make a 6 yet. But if we drop the 5TR, you know what I mean? It's like when Lil Wayne dropped the Carter 5 and then the Carter 5 Deluxe. You know what I'm saying? Same thing, only different, right? So, these things that you're looking at, the DSM-5 criteria for SUD, what does this outline? Severity is included in there. What else? What is the point of what you're looking at? Problems that people are coming into treatment with, presenting problems, right? What else?
Level of care.
Might dictate what level of care they go in based on the severity. We tie some things together there.
What they have to have in order to meet the diagnosis.
That's it. At the end of the day, you're looking at they have to meet a certain number of these to qualify for treatment at Shawnee Counseling Center. At least 90% of the programs. I know we're starting to dabble in like mental health stuff and trying to be more inclusive of people with dual diagnosis and things like that. But at the end of the day, if you're coming to Shawnee Counseling Center, you have to meet a certain number of these criteria or you're just not eligible for treatment, right? That whole, like, and that's sort of what flies in the face of, you're just providing services to bill insurance or you're just providing services for, to get people to stay or you want to keep people sick or whatever, just like a lot of other healthcare, right? You're here for a very specific reason, the clients, right? They're here for a very specific reason, and the specific reason is these 11 things. These are the absolute qualifiers that it's like you got to meet at least a few of these in order for it to make sense for you to be here, right? Because if you don't meet some of these, it's like, hey, we're a very specialty healthcare provider. If you don't meet these and you got something else going on, we might not be able to help you out, right? In the severity scale within there, you've got some of your things. 1 or less means this. 2 to 3 means this. 4 to 5 means this. 6 or more means you're a severe case. And I don't know about you guys. You guys spend time with the client population a lot more than I do. But from what I see in the charts, we're dealing with a lot of severe cases. Right? When I came into treatment, I'm what I like to call the real deal, the 11 for 11. You know what I mean? Checking all the boxes, leaving no stone unturned. You know what I mean? I feel like that's a lot of our cases. You guys agree? You guys agree? So the way that we go then through, it's like, okay, a lot of other healthcare, you come in and maybe you don't qualify for whatever the specialty provider's doing. They'll give you a referral somewhere else. They might admit you to the hospital, figure out what's going on with you so they can get you to the right place or whatever. But largely, everything that we do and everything that gets done in generalized healthcare follows the disease model. Anybody ever heard of the disease model? Nobody? Not a soul? Raise your hand so at least get one person. Thank you. Appreciate that. Disease model. So do this. Take a minute. You guys got a pen? You got a pen? Just take like 30 seconds, cue up the Jeopardy music. And just write down what that means, disease. What a disease means. Just write down what you think that means. If you come in and the doctor's like, hey, you got a disease. Write down what disease means. Ready? Disease.
No.
That's nice.
It's like lifelong.
Oh, we're gonna get there too. You're already.
What's that word?
Oh, you'll find out. Don't worry. Stick around. You can't blow my pull the curtain back moment. Don't overthink it, dude. There's no wrong answers, and your answer is not contingent upon your employment. Don't worry about it. This is training. This is a safe place to be wrong if you say the wrong thing. Nobody's mad.
I got mine.
Except maybe Stacy. Stacy might be mad.
Jeopardy, final answer.
All right, back to you guys, right? What we got? You said you're going to share yours, Ethan?
I can, yeah.
Go ahead.
Chronic, progressive, and fatal.
Okay, so that's some characteristics of it, right? Yeah. Disease, something that's chronic. That's the word you're looking for. It means it's not going away, right? Not chronic like the Dr. Dre album.
I was gonna say you smoke that.
1990, yeah, or the devil's lettuce, high-grade devil's lettuce, right? Not the chronic 92, not the chronic 2000, not the shit you used to buy, you know what I mean, from your dude Money or Slim or whatever his name was, you know what I mean? But progressive, did you say that?
Yeah.
Means what? Car insurance.
Yeah. Car insurance.
For all you transporters in the gang.
Exacerbated.
It's going to get worse. It's going to be exacerbated by, right? And then the last one was?
Fatal.
Fatal. Can kill you. Unfortunately, like since 2000, we're well over 1 million overdoses due to the opioid epidemic. In some of those COVID years, we topped 100,000 deaths in a year. Nothing really to brag about, but it's just the truth of the situation. John?
It's an illness that physically or mentally affects you.
An illness that physically or mentally affects you. Are you in school?
No.
You're doing a good job, dude. That'd be a good Blackboard post. You can read that on Blackboard right now. Natalie'd write your response. Like, John, that was very insightful. Go ahead.
It's a condition that impairs an organism's normal function.
Ooh, I love it. A condition, something you got that impairs an organism's normal function. So we'll talk about this. First time I ever heard disease model. I figured that it's probably got something to do with medical and that I'm not a smart man and would never understand it. Right? It's like, well, I don't know what that means, right? The disease, yeah, I'm assuming it's complicated, right? The disease model's based on 3 things, right? 1, 2, 3. The first thing is not necessarily the organism, but it's the organ, right? An organ, like the one you play at church. Since we're on the progressive and the chronic punchlines there. Dad jokes, I guess they'd be classified as, you know what I mean? Organ. True or false, you have organs. True, right? Human beings have organs, right? It's a super normal thing to have, right? So you've got an organ. Within that organ, I think you might have said this word too. You said something about function.
Yeah, that impairs an organism that impairs an organ's function.
Impaired function. So the word I always saw explained, and keep in mind, I stole all this. None of these are my original ideas. I'm just telling you guys about what I've seen that makes sense to me, right? So the word I've seen, rather than impaired function, which sounds nice, might sound good in a paper, you know what I mean? Impaired function is, we call it dysfunction. Dysfunction. And the connection is of the disease model is that you've got an organ, and within that organ, there is dysfunction. It's not working properly, right? Does that make sense? Then the third thing that happens, based on this dysfunction, is you get symptoms, right? What are some symptoms we're familiar with? Depends on what the disease is. You've got the symptom. You've got some set of symptoms in your hand right there, right? That's what the criteria is for all the different mental health and SUD disorders. To work it backwards, very simply, right? Symptoms, whether it's anxious distress, whether it's a depressive-related thing, whether it's substance use disorders, whether it's some of your more like severely and persistently mentally ill stuff, schizophrenia, schizoaffective, those kind of things. You're going to see the symptoms. You're going to see symptoms. Those symptoms are based on some kind of dysfunction, right, that's happening in an organ. To work it backwards there, right? That's all of it. All the mental health, all the behavioral health disorders fit into that disease model as laid out right there, right? Now, so we've already said the symptoms here, right? You guys are looking at them. The symptoms of substance use disorder, that's what you're looking at as defined by the DSM-5. And I think that's your psychiatric people that do that, your APA. All you guys that are citing papers for them right now, the American Psychiatric Association, right? Now, the messed up part is in the diagnosis of all behavioral health disorders as they line up within their symptoms, right? Who's the number one diagnosers of people in the United States of America? Official. We'll call it an official diagnosis because you're probably not wrong. TikTok's made mental illness cool again. You know what I mean?
Natalie is.
Social workers. Social workers are the number one diagnosers of people, right? How many social workers' names do you see in the DSM-5 that were consulted? Man, they never called us, dude. You know what I mean? It just must not have had the number saved, didn't get the voicemail, dude, you know, because they never called us. But, yeah, we were working. Yeah, sorry, dude. We couldn't work on the book. We were working, man. But that's a different TED Talk. You know what I mean? That's a different TED Talk. With what we're going with right here now, we got symptoms. You're looking at them as they relate to SUD, right? Because I'm a believer that all behavioral health things fit into this, including substance use disorder. You see the symptoms, and it's based on some sort of dysfunction in the organ, right? What's the organ that we're talking about?
The brain.
The brain. We can agree on that. That is Shawnee Counseling Center's stance on addiction treatment, behavioral health treatment, is that we are treating brain disorders, behavioral health disorders that originate in the brain. That's the stance, right? That's the stance of how that works, right? It's also one of the reasons I like to work with you guys. It's my personal stance too. That's my personal stance of what I believe, that the symptoms we are seeing are based on dysfunctions within the brain, right? Now, we'll get nerdy for you guys for a second, and you can use this for your Blackboard post for the week, okay? Write this down in your supervision notes. Tell your professor we'll get those hours approved on time next time, right? Symptoms, all different kinds of them, depends on what disorder you're looking at, right? Dysfunction, what is the dysfunction in the brain? What's actually going up there that's wrong? What's wrong? So it could be cognitive thought-based, the obsession, right? And it's kind of weird. Alcoholics Anonymous got a lot of this right. Like when you go back and you read the doctor's opinion from Dr. Silkworth in like 1935 or whatever. The book came out in 1939. So it's like he was writing that in support of what they were doing before the book, right? So in the 30s, in the 1930s, some doctor was like, yeah, obsession of the mind, allergy of the body, meaning that your body processes drugs now called different. You've got a problem that other people don't. And that your brain has a different reaction. There's some sort of cognitive obsession there, right? So I like to call that dysfunction content. A content problem. What's that mean? Say that again. Whatever's in there is jumbled up, right? I'm either thinking about the wrong things, or I got stuff that's happened that I need to process, right? Sean talks about they got to get it up and out. And I don't know if he knows what he's talking about when he says that, but it kind of makes sense in regards to the content problem, right? So some of your first guys in behavioral health, like your Albert Adlers and your Sigmund Freuds and all that kind of thing, they were like, people have content problems in their brain, and I do, admittedly. You know what I mean? Like, look at the shirt I'm wearing. You know what I'm saying? My brain obviously has content problems, you know? But they thought, you got content problems, you talk to a trained professional, and we will then be able to solve your symptoms and signs. Because we're going to process this content, right? Does Shawnee Counseling Center do that? How so? I heard some whispers of yes. We do. But how so? Some of you guys that have been in the program for a minute, or some of you guys that are alumni of the program, or have been in treatment, how does that content stuff get sorted out?
So, I mean, for me, I see a mental health provider.
Okay.
Kind of helps me get my thoughts in order.
Yes.
Also, throughout my time in treatment, whatever, do AOD groups, CPST groups, get my priorities in order.
Yeah. So you got two things. First, a lot of people use therapy for that. I just gotta get my thoughts in order. I gotta sort through what I think, basically, which is like a normal human function, and is honestly kind of like the first wave of what behavioral health care looks like. It's content, right? We gotta sort stuff out. Then you bring in the group aspect. I get to sort through my content with my peers, with peer input as well. So then I can hear what some of the other people that are in the same spot in the river, I can find out how they're swimming, right? What else? How else do we solve our content problems? Wrong meeting, but go ahead.
But I think it's more helpful, like
be able to like let my stuff out, and people that's been there and they got different suggestions and stuff. So it kind of helps me down the road of
Sure.
journey and recovery and stuff.
So you like the process of the feedback that, hey, here's the issues I got going on within the content problems of my brain. You tell me what some of my options are, right? That's one of the first things they teach you in problem solving. You're going to feel backed in a corner, and you're going to be like, I either got to do this or I got to do that. 9 times out of 10, you have many more options than this or that, right? Right. You got, what skills can I use? What are some alternative things? And I feel like that's a good conversation to have with people. It's like, hey, here's what's going on. You're going to give me some feedback with what I got going on. Let's sort through what my options actually are, right? And that's a lot of the stuff that we do within individual counseling, case management, peer support. A lot of it is like, hey, here's what you got going on. Let us talk about your options. Now, we'll give you suggestions of what we think. You're not necessarily supposed to do that, I don't think, in like professional therapy, but that's one of those things I just don't really like much about the field. You know what I mean? I honestly feel like it's a waste of time. Somebody comes to me with a problem, but I'm not supposed to tell them what to do to fix it. I'm supposed to let them sort it out. And it's like, well, I know what to do. I just tell the guy. You know what I mean? Now, he don't have to listen, and, you know, sometimes guys don't listen. And we're not mad at them, right? They're not mad at you. They're mad at their dad. Never forget that, okay? Don't take it personal. They're not mad at you. They're mad at their dad, right? So we do lots of content stuff, right? So, like I said, that's like first wave behavioral health treatment stuff. Second thing that came along is they said, hey, you don't have a content problem. You've got a chemical problem. Has anybody ever heard the term chemical imbalance? What's that mean? Say that louder.
Your brain's not firing right.
My brain's not firing right.
I think it might have to do something with your original distortion.
Okay.
So it's basing like your original state on someone else's, but your original state is just like he said, it's out of balance.
Everybody has a different baseline for how their brain functions, right? Some people are heavy and light on various things at birth. And then two, behaviors and choices that we make, right, can change that, right? They can change the plasticity of the brain. They can change what neurons are firing together. They can change what chemicals you're heavy or light on, right? Like I know one of the, you know, like drugs attack all those feel-good chemicals because they dump them and load us with a bunch of them. Well, then the brain stops making them naturally because you don't need them anymore. That's the way your brain looks at it. I don't need them anymore because I'm getting way more every time this guy does a line of this white powder. So I can just quit making this. Well, then you quit doing it, right? And then your brain doesn't have any of that, and you're like, I'm just so depressed I want to kill myself. And it's like, you've changed the plasticity, you've changed the chemical content of your brain. And again, I'm no scientist, but brains are made of chemicals, and drugs are made of chemicals, and you put chemicals together, and you get shake and bake, baby. You know what I'm saying? Right? That's us. That's hey, and they say Appalachia ain't got no culture or entrepreneurial spirit. You know what I mean? Right? It's like I think we made shake and bake meth and the pill mills. I'll be honest. I think we got an argument for both. Right? So what do we do? How do we see historically the chemical problem fixed? Hey guys. Medications, right? What kinds? Could be antidepressants, could be mood stabilizers, could be anxiety medication, antipsychotics. There's all sorts, dude. This was when the chemical thing is when you saw people say like, well, we don't need large state institutions that hold mentally ill people. We don't need to physically restrain people. We can give them drugs and chemically restrain them to like change their baseline, right? And so then these guys that came up with that were like, we don't even need to do this. We don't even need to do this because it doesn't matter what the content of your brain is that is causing the symptoms. We'll just fix it chemically because that's the real problem, right? That's the thing about every one of these guys. They look at the guys that were there before them and they're like, that's not, these dudes, that's archaic. Doesn't make any sense, right? This is the real problem, right? We also didn't talk about how we treat SUD with chemicals. What do we use to do that?
How do you do what?
How do we treat substance use disorder with medications? I keep saying chemicals because Vivitrol, methadone, Suboxone, Subutex. What's the new one? Starts with a B? Brixadi. I always forget about that one, right? There's all types of oral and injectable medications that we can use to treat that, right? So SUD is no different. We will use chemicals to treat that problem when we say, hey, you got this imbalance and this is going to help you, right? Does Shawnee Counseling Center do this? Where do we get the meds? No, in the bodies, dude. We get the meds in the bodies. Now, we do pick them up for, when they get prescribed at Compass and filled at Smith's. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure that's our kind of like, shop local. You know what I'm saying, Matt? But, hey, we say that all the time, dude. We'll be in staffing and we'll be talking about behavioral issues and we'll be talking about things we see and we'll be talking about clients' desire to take or not take medications. And it gets really weird sometimes, dude. It gets really weird sometimes. But we believe that this is part of the problem, right? We believe that this is part of the problem, the content issues, right? We also believe, though, that there is chemical things going on, right? That's what happens when the agency's started by a pharmacist, Surprise, surprise, he believes the meds help, you know what I mean? Which we believe, and that's why I don't mind to work here. I also think that this plays a part, right? So our new one is, hey, if a guy's going through something, the first thing we got to do is we got to motivate him to get his meds in his body, right? People are easier to deal with when they're on the right plane with that kind of stuff, right? Second leg of the race is after we get his meds in his body, we get his body into the shower. Hopefully under his own power. We ain't trying to wash nobody off or whatever. But if you can learn to start your day like that, my friend, you will go far, right? You take your meds and you get yourself ready for the day. You got a shot to pull this thing off. You know what I mean? You got a shot. So that's how we do believe and use the chemical thing, right? The last piece, and this is emerging, right? This is like an emerging thing. And I wish I had a C word for it and I don't, right? And it's actually, I'm going to use a word that's already up here, but I'll explain to you what I mean, right? So the new wave of things is that you don't have a content issue, you don't have a chemical issue, but you've got some sort of functionality problem. You've got some sort of functional problem within your brain, right? And this is where you get real weird into like synapses and neuro pathways and your brain firing and the electrocurrents and stuff that go into it. I don't understand it. I don't understand it all the way. So I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you Southern Ohio, Appalachian style. You guys ready? You went outside this morning. You started your car. You turned the key over, right? Hopefully you're at a point in your life where the car started. Okay? Appropriate functional process. You go in, you stick the key, and you turn it. You don't see it happen, but internally within the engine, A thing happens, so B thing could happen, so C thing could happen, and then D, the car was running. Make sense? That's the process of operations, the order of operations, right? The new thing is that in people's brains, same kind of process. I wake up in the morning, I got to get going, I got to go do this, I got to go take my meds, I got to go get in the shower, whatever it is, right? A thing happens, so B thing can happen, so C thing can happen, so D, boom, I'm up and moving, right? The new deal is that A thing happens, B thing happens, and then D, and I'm up and about. You go out in your car, you start it. A thing happened, B thing happened, and then the car's up and running. The car's still going, but it's not running right because what never happened? C never happened, right? Something's not firing right. Something's not working right. And you'll hear, you know what I mean? The brains that we're dealing with is like when you take the car you just bought off Facebook Marketplace to your friend that kind of works on cars. And you're like, I think the engine's knocking. I don't know why. It's running, but it's knocking. I don't know why, right? It's not that everything's totally broke down, that it's like, oh, dude, this is over with, or it's too far beyond repair. But the functionality, the process of operations, the order of operations in the brain isn't happening right. Now, this is where it gets fun. The functionality stuff, and I'm being targeted by Facebook and Instagram. I get all the time ads for ketamine-assisted therapy. It knows I want to try it, dude. The algorithm knows, man. The algorithm knows. It knows you deeply and intimately, right? The algorithm knows. So that's where you see these like microdosing things. Or one of my personal favorites, Ibogaine. Shout out W. Brian Hubbard and the work he's doing in Texas. Ibogaine treatments, ayahuasca. Shout out my boy Aaron Rodgers, right? He'll go see the shaman, dude. You know what I mean? Then the other things that are less chemically risky for people in long-term recovery, like EMDR, eye movement desensitization. What's the R stand for? Eye movement desensitization. Don't put that in the video, okay? We don't know. I'm just kidding. But those types of therapies where you're doing your bilateral stimulation, right? And they're asking you to recall things while you're doing things either tactilely or like tapping yourself or like with your eyes actually moving. The point of that therapy is it does things to the neurons in your brain to make new connections, right? To get the order of operations back in, right? The ones that are discredited are time. The brain will turn itself back on. The brain will turn itself back on. Sometimes it just takes longer than you want it to, right? Sometimes it just takes longer than you want it to, but the brain will turn itself back on in most cases, right? What are some time frames we've heard for that? 2 to 5. I've always said it takes at least a year. It takes at least a year, depending on what you got going on, right? Shawnee Counseling Center believes it's more like 2 years, right? I've even seen things as far as 10 years for stimulant users, like heavy-duty stimulant, the way it bankrupts all your serotonin, dopamine, all that kind of stuff, that to return to normal function can take a decade. Which is kind of terrifying, but you know what I mean? Doesn't mean you're not going to make 75% of the progress in 2 years, right? But that last piece might be a little bit longer, right? Now, I picked up my 5-year tag at an NA meeting. I pick up my 5-year tag, and after the meeting, this old timer comes up to me and he gives me a hug, and he's like, man, 5 years. You can finally pull your head out of your ass. And I start to thinking about, I still think about it. Come on in, man. Welcome to the show. Glad you're here. I still think about that from time to time because at 5 years, I was like, I'm doing pretty good. Things are going pretty good. I got this, right? This is going pretty good. Well, then I start to think back. It's like, I felt like that at 6 months, and I felt like that at 12 months, and I felt like that at 18 months. And at 5 years, when I look back at those Facebook memories of the shit I was posting and saying and doing, it's like, dude, John was right. It takes about 5 years to pull your head out of your ass till you can't look back on yourself and be embarrassed. You know what I mean? So that's the other piece. Time will also fix this functionality part, right? Time will do that. The other thing that speeds it up is exercise, right? Now, microdosing ketamine or going to see the shaman in Costa Rica and tripping balls for a couple days sounds a lot more fun. I'm being honest with you, right? We're in the nest, right? This is a safe place. This is a safe place. Yeah, mine too, bro. Mine too. Sounds a lot more fun. But we can go through this process of fixing the functionality piece in a way that is more holistic. It's just harder. You got to do hard shit, right? You got to go to bed on time. You got to wake up at the same time every day. Your brain's got to know what to expect. You got to establish a routine, right? You got to go exercise regularly because it will speed up when you start burning the body hot like that. It's going to speed up all the processes back to what it's supposed to be because it thinks, I better get my shit back together because we're doing other things now that are important, right? It helps restore all that kind of stuff. So while the functionality piece, and it's getting some traction, EMDR is a huge thing right now. Lots of therapists are going to get trained in it, certified in it. The other stuff, the microdosing or the plant medicines that make you hallucinate, they're getting traction and some money thrown at them for research and all that kind of stuff. But I think that the way Shawnee addresses this, the old-fashioned way, is like we got to give time, and we're going to need you to do some things to help yourself out, right? And that's really where like the list of 88 comes in. That's where like the daily house check stuff comes in. That's where the curfew checks come in. That's where like monitoring all these appointments and making sure everybody's going to what they're supposed to before we say, hey, you've demonstrated this, we're going to move on, right? All that stuff's not for nothing. It's not just because like we want to keep people under the thumb, but it's like we're trying to take a really conservative approach to fixing the functionality of people's brains without like, Imagine this. Let's play pretend for a minute. You come into treatment with Ethan in residential. It's the third time you've been there in 18 months. They say, hey, buddy, you can't stay here. Insurance isn't going to pay for this because the last 2 times didn't work. So what's going to happen is you're going to drink this, and we're going to lock you in the closet for 48 hours, and we'll see when you come out, okay? Right? Hey, I'd be like, all right, fuck, yeah, let's, okay. You know what I mean? All right. You know what I mean? All right. That's maybe not the treatment for everybody. You know what I mean? So we're trying to address this piece through our mental health therapy, through the daily activities, through the regular physical activity, through like setting up that structure for people to fix that functionality piece of the brain without having to microdose everybody on ketamine. You know what I mean? Not that I personally am opposed, you know what I mean? If anybody would like a trial on a person who's been in recovery for a decade or whatever and just wants to see what's up, you know what I mean? A little bonus round, you know what I mean? No, just kidding. But our approach really isn't that like we don't think any of these doesn't work, right? Our approach is that we're trying to somehow box all these up together and get them to the client. It's like, hey, you don't got to pick. You don't got to decide whether talk therapy is for you or whether the medication thing is for you or whether the functionality piece is for you. It's like, what we're trying to do is give you an option where you can address all these things. You can address all these things. Call me crazy. I don't think any of these are mutually exclusive to each other, and I think they're probably best used when we use them all together. A lot of times within this field, people are going to want you to pick. Well, are you a pro-MAT or are you anti-MAT, right? Are you, do you think people need long-term therapy or do you think people need 90 days and get their shit together and go, right? Are you pro microdosing ketamine or are you against it? What's your specialty for treatment? You know, there's like at some level, being a generalist, there will be things where people try to discredit you, right? But don't buy into that, right? Right? Like, the generalist approach to things is valuable, and we need it, and that's what we want to give our clients because we want to show them as much as we can to let them decide then, out of all this stuff, what are the things that are going to work for me, right? Speaking of generalists, that's the OU social work program is designed for people to become generalists, not specialists, with the idea that they're in Athens, Ohio, and other rural parts of southeastern Ohio, right? The idea is we don't have time to teach you to specialize because you're going to go back to a place where you might be the only one. So you can't be an administrator. You can't be just a therapist. You can't be just a supervisor. You got to learn to do a little bit of everything because people are going to need you to know to do a little bit of everything, right? And I think there's a high level of value in being able to do a little bit of everything, right? Now, if you got stuff that interests you and you want to learn about it and you want to get your CEUs, finding out about ibogaine treatment in Texas, just let me know. Maybe I'll go with you, you know. But don't think that it's like, oh, I gotta figure out which one of these is mine, right? Your goal is just pushing them out to the client and letting them know why the rationale exists, right? It's not, we don't need you to come in and talk to me just because I want to hear from you. You got to sort through some things, and I'm gonna help you decide what to do, right? You got to take your meds because when you're actively hallucinating, we can't make sure you're gonna stay sober, you know. When you think that the helicopters are flying over your house because they're watching you, no, the helicopter pad in the city is right behind you. That's why they're flying there, dude. But I need you to take your medicine, okay? All right? Because that doesn't make any sense to that person, right? Same thing with the functionality piece. The structure of what we do isn't because, like, oh, I need Red to go in your house every morning, make sure you're not in there, like, high or overdosed or whatever. Yeah, there's some sort of safety aspect to it, but at the end of the day, it's like you got to get up at the same time every day. That's what you got to do to participate in life, right? That's what you got to do, right? We want you to do regular physical activity because if you dodge dying from an opioid overdose, I'd hate for you to die of heart disease because that's like easy to prevent, right? It's like the number one killer of our population's overdose. The number one killer of Americans is heart disease. I'm not going out by either one of those, right? It's going to be something cool. I want killed by a shark or something like that. You know what I mean? Fly off a roller coaster maybe? I don't know. But something cool, you know? So, questions or comments about the way we use any of these? You got your hand up back there? You're doing good, dude. Come on. Nothing? You guys are afraid Connor's going to give you the mic.
Oh, I'm going to give you the mic. Now, you explained it very well.
Appreciate you. I appreciate you. Oh, my bad. You coming through? Right this way, man. We missed you this morning. Hey. All right, well, it's 9:55. I got shit to do at 10. I know you guys do too.